Indiana Jones. It's a podcast about Indiana Jones. Every movie, 1 minute at a time. Indiana Jones Minute.
Welcome back to the Indiana Jones Minute. This is the podcast where we find out what happens when you blow the wrong hole on Crystal Skull. I'm Pete Bummer.
How to talk to your kids about blowing the wrong holes. I'm Tom Taylor.
I'm Gerald Christopher Porter.
And fortunately, we're joined once again by intrepid archaeologist Dr. Jamie Anderson. Thank you, Jamie, for coming back.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we're always
Though
excited to have you.
I feel like Indy blew in the right hole.
Well, I think it's relative.
It is, depending on who's looking.
Just like in real life.
Well, today the hole we're talking about is minute 47. And minute 47 begins with Mutt staring down the wrong end of a blowgun, and it ends with a father asking his son to stop combing his hair.
Pete, the music at the very beginning of this minute, who does it remind me of? One of my favorite musicians. You love him too.
Do it, Pete.
Do it.
Do it.
Blow. I'll give you a hint. He blows in the he kind of he puts things in the wrong hole and blows. Oh, come on. This is an alley-oop, Pete. Right.
Clearly.
Like Rashawn Roland Kirk?
Yes, Rashawn Roland Kirk.
Pete, I was just mouthing it the whole time. You couldn't see me. Jeez.
Rashawn Roland Kirk,
like that.
who, he kind of, because
it does kind of sound like that.
It does. He plays like the nose flute.
Yeah.
He
That
plays
creeps me out.
3 or 4 different horns at once. He plays the stritch.
Yeah.
I've been listening to him a lot.
The nose flute really just freaks me out. I don't like that.
Sounds
That's 'cause you have a cold.
incredible, though.
I was going to say what you said, Tom.
Pete's been
Having
playing
a
the
cold,
nose
you have
flute
a
for
whole
days.
relationship with your nose that you don't normally have.
And do you remember this, Pete? Do you know where he died? December 5th, 1977. He was unfortunately age 42. Remember where he died?
No.
Peru.
Bloomington, Indiana.
Peru.
Really?
That's our old alma mater.
What did he die of?
Poison dart.
Yes. Yeah. He blew in the
I'm
wrong
assuming
hole.
it's going to go somewhere like this, right?
His body was mummified.
Yeah. And it turned out he had a crystal skull.
It was extremely magnetic, even of gold. A non-magnetic metal.
How dare you, Jamie? How dare you?
Well, he is incredible. I'll say that.
Yep. Well, I'll tell you what else is incredible is there's a weird deleted scene here.
Ooh.
Get out of here.
So in the last minute, I was hinting that the one guy shoots the dart and it hits Mutt's shovel and it makes that great like thwack sound. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's good. And in the script, Mutt throws his switchblade at the guy and like jabs him in, like the switchblade sticks in his shoulder. And the guy pulls the switchblade out of his shoulder and he's about to throw it back at Mutt. And Indy whips the knife out of the guy's hand.
Oh.
And so that's why this scene begins with Indy has got his whip out and he's running towards the hole.
Oh, man.
Yeah,
I didn't even notice that he had his whip
I
out.
noticed that.
Yeah.
On last minute, he says, "Stay there," and his whip is like activated.
Yeah, because I think they filmed it. He had just whipped the switchblade out of the dude's hand to save Mutt.
Wow.
But there's a whole it goes into a whole thing, where after Indy like cocks the gun later, and he tosses the switchblade back to Mutt, and Mutt sees that there's blood on it, and Mutt goes, I never really used it before. And Indy goes, "You did good, kid."
Oh, weird.
Yeah,
That's really weird.
Yeah.
Was
then-
that
And then
He
Mutt
did
asks,
good. What does that mean?
I think that he threw the switchblade into the guy's
Oh,
shoulder.
okay.
Yeah. And then Mutt asks, who were those things?
Oh,
And Indy says, Nazca Indians or their descendants. Sure didn't like us poking around. And he says, what were they protecting? And then there's this other weird little thing where Indy, like one of the mummies, is wearing like a hat and a serape, and Indy takes the hat and the serape off of the mummy and wraps it on the guy that he just killed. And then he props him up against the wall so he looks like the other mummies. And Indy says that ought to keep him for a couple hundred years.
huh.
God,
wait,
weird.
wait. Are you kidding me?
Wait
No,
a minute.
I'm not kidding you.
That is an
You know-
elaborate and distasteful
Yeah.
joke.
It is.
It really is.
Yeah.
Glad they cut that.
This sounds like something out of the, Indiana Jones comic book.
It does.
Yes, it does. Yeah, just random weird.
Yeah.
Why did they just say that kind of stuff?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
stuff it's just like over the top declarative. That ought to
Yeah.
keep them, comfy.
That's
for
what
the
I
next
just
100
did.
years.
Yeah.
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 Weird.
That's
So
really
when you say
weird.
the guy that he killed, are you talking about the guy with the blowgun thing?
You know what?
'Cause that's
I'm
the
not
only
sure
guy-
who he killed.
I think that's the only guy he
Oh,
kills.
I guess maybe the guy that had the switchblade in his shoulder, maybe he dies. after Indy
So
whips
Mutt
him.
kills a guy.
I guess.
Weird.
Yeah, it's unclear.
Mutt killed a guy. That sounds like Brick killed a guy.
Well, that's a
not
good
because
point.
not to skip ahead, like that's Indy does the blowgun thing on the guy. I think that's the only guy that he directly kills in this entire movie.
That's amazing.
Really?
That is amazing and strange.
Well, does he kill this guy?
I don't know.
Because if the poison is pointed towards Indy, so basically
Right.
that guy's just going to get. It's like,
it's a feather in his throat.
yeah. It's
Yeah.
like ouch, but it's not
No,
going
he-
to kill him.
That's uncomfortable.
Yeah,
No,
that's why
I-
he's
I
like,
don't think-
that hurt.
But it's poisonous.
Well, the other end is
But
poisonous.
they play it like he's dying. He does the eye roll,
Yeah.
slow
Yeah.
fall down. That equals dead.
But
Yeah,
you'd be dumb to put poison on both ends of the dart.
I agree.
Yeah, that's on him.
No, those are
Yeah,
not.
that is
those are
him.
not two-way poison blow darts. And I think that
Right.
only one side is sharpened and poisoned. And
Yeah.
and I assume that it would say, insert front first.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so like Indy blows it back at the guy and he basically tickles his uvula.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
The
I
guy's
think
so ticklish that it shorts out his brain or something.
Right.
his uvula goes. He
And then immediately after this, Indy pulls his gun on the guy who's about to beat up Mutt, and he doesn't shoot or anything.
Yeah.
And it's like you're reminded that Indiana Jones has a gun
yeah.
and that he
Yeah.
does not use it in this movie.
Right.
I think John Ingle pointed that out. He does not shoot his gun in this entire movie, I don't think.
Yeah, and he barely uses the whip.
Yeah. It's a very I mean, we were sound like a broken record, but it's like there's something very I don't know, light and neutered about this movie or about this Indiana Jones or something. Just it's a little of a family romp business.
Well,
Like I wonder if that's a conscious decision. Like if we go into this movie, let's he's not gonna. This is a different Indy. He's
Yeah.
older and he's not gonna kill people.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's
It's
a
weird.
good word, neutered.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
then the Guardians are kind of neutered as well because they just
Totally.
Like, Indy just has to cock the gun and the guy's gone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they don't even care. Like Mutt and Indy are like, oh, that guy's still around, but I guess that's we won.
Yeah.
Like he forfeits, so we're good. Like
You know
he
what
can't
It's
do
like when,
anything to
when
us now.
you punch
And
a
what-
guy in a video game and he starts flashing. You don't have to worry about him anymore.
Right.
That's it.
You can punch him again if you want to, but he's already done.
starts- You know what's really weird is when Indy pulls the gun out and the guy like throws up his knife and runs away in a total like whoop, 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 whoop move.
Yeah.
What? He had a knife? I didn't even see
He
that.
did. No, the guy.
didn't either.
Look, the guy has a knife, and Indy
Huh.
pulls out the gun,
Oh yeah.
and he like throws. Like actually he's about to like slash Mutt, He's in a
Mhm.
full on, like he has the knife drawn, like he's about to slash across Mutt's abdomen in the most
Oh, it's not a
violent of
knife. I
ways.
think that's a
what
bone.
that's a
It's like a-
bone?
Yeah, it's like
Oh.
a leg bone or something.
You mean from the
Gross.
rotisserie chicken?
Yeah,
Maybe.
he's just finishing his lunch.
Oh my
Hang
God,
on,
I
hang
think
on.
you're right. It is.
He's
It's
just
like
gonna,
a
he's
bone.
Gonna, he's not going to brain Mutt with a bone.
That kind
No
of
wonder-
destroys my other theory about who these guys are.
They go, no, they
Oh.
caught me with the bone.
Yeah.
Throws it away. It is. It's a bone.
No, wait, we said at the beginning, we agreed sort of like last minute that there were 3 of these guys, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now only 2 of them have been dispatched in any way. And I guess the third was the one who was cut out, who got stabbed in the
Yeah.
shoulder or something.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, movie. You didn't explain that.
Yeah.
Had to come all the way to the Indiana Jones minute and have Pete Mummert explain that to you.
And they don't ever come back, right?
No, that's
they really
it's
don't.
just it.
It's
They're in the
so
trailer with
weird.
the
Video
FBI
game.
guys from the beginning. They're
Yeah.
just all
Yeah.
hanging out. Like, well, we're done.
Yeah. It's all like Borges in the Garden of Forking Paths. Like we just keep taking a different path and that's it. Kind of want to watch the movie where we get to see these guys again.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
have this grand entrance,
Yeah.
and then just like
Fade away.
I get-
Jump
I mean, I guess
away.
the one guy,
Yeah.
takes it in the epiglottis pretty hard, but that's about it. It's straight.
I was wondering if they might be guarding the mummies, but now that you say that they were grabbing the bone, probably not.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's like they pull
Yeah.
the skulls off the wall and they wear
Yeah.
them, and then the guys.
Well, again, I
grabbing
think
a
those might be
bone-
masks, but
Yeah, totally.
Maybe there was one dead guy there who they hated, and so they'll take bones from him.
that's
They'll take
fair.
Just guard
bones
the
off
rest of them.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And then we get like the most infuriating part of the movie almost. I mean, not the
Uh-oh.
most, but it really bothers me. We get the moment between Mutt and Indy after all the fighting dies down. He's like, so you're a teacher? He's got this like sort of moment of awe of like this guy who just killed the guy in front of him. And Indy says, part-time, which is a different take of that line than you have already seen in the preview for the movie.
What was the preview?
In the trailer for the movie, he says, "Oh, so now I'm gonna forget." It's just it's a little more like this is really part-time. Sounds super unnatural. He sort of goes like
Part-time.
like I'm a part-time teacher, and it just sounds more natural. And you're used to having seen that in the trailer, or at least I was. I don't know, but that happens sometimes in movies, and it's always infuriating. Like they just you're used to. You're expecting this line, and then it happens differently than you're used to already, even though you haven't seen the movie yet. And it's very
You're the only
jarring.
person I know with an eidetic memory when it comes to movies, Tom. Like
I'm an
swear
auditory
you're the only
learner,
person
Pete.
on earth that this bothered.
The timing was off in that line from Godfather 3 when they pull me back in. The lightning strikes at a different time. It's very odd.
I know what you mean, Tom. When I was in college, my
Jamie.
roommate and I watched the trailer for Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban so many times that we could like recite it. And
Yeah.
there's a line that's changed in that trailer in the movie. And when we were in the
See?
theater, we like grabbed each other's arms and we're like, what? That's not how
not
Remus
alone.
Lupin said that. So
I guarantee you at least a handful of people in the crusade on Facebook will be
Yeah,
sharing
Yeah.
their own examples of this sort of thing.
you're
yeah.
right.
Well,
But
I
yeah, he
like
sounds
this
weird
line.
when he says that. Part-time. I
Also,
don't know.
is he saying he's an adjunct?
I don't know what he's saying, or is he saying he does
Like,
not
what?
consider himself first and foremost a teacher?
Yeah, is he an emeritus?
that's sort of
Like,
telling.
I don't understand his
Yeah.
position in the academy.
Yeah.
well, hey,
Or does
I
he
mean,
just mean I rob graves?
Yeah.
well, how about this? Indiana Jones right now is unemployed.
That is true.
True.
Yeah.
So he's
Yeah.
not part-time. He's
Hmm.
unemployed. And I wondered,
He's masquerading
he
as a
said-
teacher.
yeah, yes. If he says part-time, I thought to myself, so what was all that Dean Charlie talk? Like Dean Charlie sacrificed his
It's
own
true.
career
It's
Yeah.
true.
to get
For Indy's
Indy
part-time hobby.
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
of his part-time earnings.
Poor Jim Broadbent.
Like,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah.
She's part-time?
Unless Indy has another job that unless maybe he's got another teaching gig that he's still got.
Maybe.
Didn't he say he was going over to London to like get another job over there?
Leipzig.
He was going to Leipzig.
Oh, Leipzig.
Yeah,
Okay.
where all the commies hang out.
Yeah.
Maybe it's like if you have a full-time job that you actually hate and you don't identify with, but then you have like a side thing. And someone asks, oh, so you're like a whatever. I'm like, well, part-time. I'm actually a drummer.
Yeah, I'm a DJ. It's fine.
I actually do a podcast about Indiana Jones. This is my part-time gig over there.
How would anyone hate that job though? Oh, I'm a professor of archaeology.
Whatever.
Well, you gotta sit on these committees. There's a lot of paperwork. You have to deal with like whatever online system they have for grade delivery. Like it's a nightmare.
Yeah. But he was all proud of it the first time. Like he was correcting Mutt. Mutt was making fun of him. Oh, you're a teacher, great. He's like, I'm a tenured professor. You dope. And now he's like, part-time, whatever.
What do you think Indy's screenplay would be?
I assume he'd write one of those that's like there's like a younger woman who like is the only one that can help him discover his life and
living vicariously.
Fade in a hat.
Yep.
It was a dark and stormy night.
Yep.
Yeah, it'd be very noir.
Yeah.
It'd be a blonde.
Rock Steele adjusted the fedora on his head.
Can I complain about the like Mayan architecture of this temple?
Please.
I don't know why you would.
Yeah.
But okay.
Yeah.
Pete, I think that you agree with me that this fact that they mishmashed like a bunch of different pre-Columbian cultures together to make this set is really distressing.
It's driving me crazy. Like we were talking last week how there was, literally what looked like an Aztec skull rack.
Yes.
And they're just, I don't know, they just are so lazy and they just throw in anything south of the border of the American border. That's all the same. No one's going to know the difference.
It's like particularly sad because the Nazca stuff is really cool. Like it would have been really cool to see a real representation of it. Like not like, if it was boring, it'd be fine if they just ignored what this culture really was. But also like if I was the set designer, I feel like I would have had a great opportunity that somebody totally missed to be like, oh, Jungle Temple, nailed it. So
yeah, I don't get why they had so much to work with and they chose to work with something completely different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. What was the point?
Yeah.
Upstate New York Jungle Temple.
Yeah, fair enough.
Desert.
Yeah.
Deciduous desert.
I mean, yeah. And they like go out of their way. It's not in these minutes, but when they're establishing where they are, they show the Nazca lines in the background.
Yeah.
So they're like locating the set very obviously, and then they just kind of don't go with it.
It is weird, like the accurate historical stuff that they actually put in and then just ignore.
Yeah.
I was saying about it like Oriana before. Like there's so many, there's like thousands of conquistadors. Just make up a guy.
Right.
Like why pick a guy?
Yeah, why pick this guy?
Like the Pete Mummerts are going to be like, no, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Or why not just set it in Mexico? If everything's going to be Mexican, why not just set it in Mexico?
You want it to be in Mexico. Just put it in Mexico.
You want to talk about El Dorado, like go for it.
Yeah.
Right. But you want to have the Treasure of the Sierra Madre cameo, just, make it easier on yourself. Do it in Mexico.
You want to play La Cucaracha.
They were just doing the lazy thing because they wanted to do Ancient Aliens. And when I was researching for being on the show today, I was like reading a bunch of papers about the Nazca. And then, so I was using Google Scholar. And then I just went to normal Google because I wanted to see some pictures. And so I Googled like Nazca Cemetery, and like every hit is something about stupid fake alien bodies. Like I was so mad about it. I was like, Google, like fix your algorithm so you stop spreading this disinformation. Like, ugh.
Like it was sites about like, aliens. Like was it?
Yes.
It wasn't a gag. It was like people who
No,
think that
it is real ancient alien stuff. And it's the top hits on Google, and if you Google anything about the Nazca, that's the way it is, which is really upsetting. Mm-hmm. Like they've gotten associated with this stupid racist idea that people in South America couldn't have, built these incredible monuments themselves, so aliens had to do it. And yeah, it's just part of this like disinformation problem that the internet is exacerbating.
Yeah. There's a period of maybe, I don't know, 10 years where the internet was okay. You're like, I want to know how to I want to know how to close how do I close a Ziploc bag? And you can search that, and there'd be a YouTube
chili recipe
that.
is delicious. Yeah.
Yes. and then now
I love
you're
that
right.
Jerry actually searched for that.
More
blue
than
and, what was it? Blue and yellow makes green. No, and then now you look up, Nazca, and the first thing that comes up is like, thinking of, having a romantic evening near the Nazca lines.
Yeah.
Click here for hotels near Nazca.
Yeah. Yeah, that's another
literally,
problem.
if you type in like Andes mummy or Inca mummy or Nazca mummy, everything that comes up is ancient aliens. Like all the top hits, which is crazy.
Yeah.
And it's too bad because go ahead, Jer.
You go ahead, Pete. Please tell me why it's sad.
Well, I think it's really especially sad because these whole Andean mummies are fascinating.
They are.
Like, it's incredible.
I was just gonna say that. Not being an archaeologist, but I saw at the LA Natural History Museum, they had an amazing exhibit on, Peruvian mummies.
Oh, was it the Inca Princess? I think it's called the Ice Princess.
It may have, I think it was, and they were actually, the mummies were older than Egyptian mummies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
They were like 7,000 years old.
Yeah.
And they had, there's this entire historical and cultural, these artifacts, and it was an incredible display. And here we have a cemetery with mummies in Peru.
Yeah.
And you're like, I mean, first of all, I guess it's a Christian cemetery because it's Oriana. Or no,
I would guess it was. I would guess it was Incan or Nazcan.
I think it's supposed to be Nazcan.
Yeah.
Nazcan.
And then Oriana just found it and camped out there.
Yeah,
is that what? Yeah,
appropriated it.
But either way, we don't have. You have this great setup of, you said. I mean, famous mummies from this part of the world, and they don't do anything at all with that.
Yeah, and like. Their tradition of mummies is also so different than the Egyptian ones that I think most moviegoers would have been familiar with. Like, we're not certain about the Nazca because we don't have written records, but when the Spaniards encountered the Inca, they would like bring their mummies out for festivals. They would like feed them. They would interpret what they were saying. Yeah. Like, they had a whole like life that went on after death. And eventually the Spaniards realized they had power and they got rid of all of them. But it's just like such a different conception of mummies than what I think most moviegoers would have been used to. And it could have been really cool to see it on screen.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I don't think like, and you can say, that the screenwriters were making all these concessions to real facts to make a cool story. But I'm going to leave that sentence unfinished, but I think that there was room to be more accurate.
Yeah,
definitely.
But then they like this, I can't tell if this is a mummy or just a skeleton at the end of this minute, but it reminds me, was it in the late 90s? They found 3 child mummies up in the Andes Mountains.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
Like one of the kids was wrapped up, like he was basically tied up like this mummy or this skeleton is here.
Yes.
And they think like the kids were all sacrificed and stuck in a room and left to die.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting because this guy is tied up just like that kid.
Yeah, the bundles are definitely like in the real cemetery that we talked about in the last minute. That's how all the bodies are. They would bundle them up and coat the bundles in textiles and then coat the bundles with resin. And that was part of the preservation process. But the heads would be sticking out.
So you could put a dead guy next to one of them and put a hat on him and be like, that'll keep him for a couple hundred years.
Yeah, definitely.
As long as you get the switchblade out of his shoulder.
Yeah. Well, I think that's about it for me ranting about mummies.
No, I appreciate that. It's
for now.
Yeah.
I feel like we're kind of yelling into the wind sometimes with this, but I think it's important.
Yeah.
Well, there's just
We're not alone.
There's an irony to it. That's what
Yeah.
it is. You go to
Yeah.
one of the places in the world where they really actually have mummies, famously.
Yeah. And they
Right.
don't have wind, so yelling into the wind is even
Right,
weirder.
right.
Yeah. How'd that happen?
Yeah. And I will say that when this movie came out, I thought it was a lot more, because I had this whole argument about why aliens were okay when I first saw the movie, because Indiana Jones has always dealt with like the fringe aspects of archaeology. And in 2008, I felt like that was a fringe aspect of archaeology. You know, like Raiders is about biblical archaeology, and like Last Crusade is about like Arthurian legend. And those are things that are kind of on the fringes. And so aliens made sense. But now there's like a survey that like 40% of Americans believe in ancient aliens. And that was a survey from last year. And so it's like, oh, this isn't the fringes anymore. Like, this is an actual problem that people are so uninformed. Like, it's not just like the 3 conspiracy theorists who are like crazy-eyed, bearded guys. It's like a real misinformation problem. So now it's not charming to me anymore.
Yeah.
I think, you know, Americans are prone to conspiracies. I think they
agree.
enjoy them. Yeah, they enjoy them.
Yeah.
It's like,
Well, I think humans are.
I think Americans are especially. I
Yeah.
agree with Jerry.
Is it possible that a lot of people who say, oh yeah, totally ancient aliens, that they're only thinking about the alien part and their heads aren't going all the way to like, oh wait, that means if I'm saying that means that I'm down with just denying the abilities of all these ancient races. Like they're just saying like, oh yeah, it'd be cool if there were aliens back then, but they're not like thinking it through.
I think it's a little bit of a gateway. Again, like thinking about the way the internet spreads misinformation, like I assume from a Ancient Aliens YouTube video, it's like 2 clicks to a Stormfront video. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's the way that like these ideas start, and they seem innocent and charming, and you know.
Well, and some of them are just phantasmagorical, which may be quote fun to read.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
right. In search of.
I mean, The X-Files is my favorite TV show I've ever seen. Like all-time favorite TV show. And I recently saw someone on Twitter say, "You guys know if we were watching that show today, we'd hate Mulder." And I was like, "Oh,
that's probably true."
Oh no, don't say that, because I knew it was true.
Well, does Mutt pull out a razor or a comb? It's
a comb.
It's
right?
a comb, I believe.
Well, okay, check it out. When he brandishes it, the music gets all super betrayal-like.
It does. That's really strange.
It's really strange. Like he's going to.
I wondered if it's like is it a switch comb? And so the music thinks, oh no, he's got a knife.
No, I thought that. I thought it's like he's going to violently tame Indy's cowlick.
Hold still, you.
It's a really odd scene. He pulls it out, and that's why I wondered if it was a razor blade. He pulls it out, and it plays this little betrayal music. Like he's going to, like
he's gonna barranca him.
He's gonna ambush Indy and repart his hair. And it's strange. I mean, Indy catches him, and he's like, "What are you doing? Put that thing away."
Yeah.
And
he says that line, and I realize that with the exception of the random like part-time and this way up and all those things, I think I like every single interaction between Indy and Mutt. Like I like every single Indiana Jones reaction to Mutt, whether he's being really patient with him or here where he's being really impatient with him. I like it. I'm like, yeah, Indy, tell him. What's he doing with that thing? He needs to bring you some light. What's going on?
Well, I also like that Mutt's not embarrassed about it. Like Mutt's not like, like Mutt's just like, okay, I'll bring you some light.
Well, so is Mutt looking into like a resplendent armor shield or something?
I think he's just.
Is there like a mirror in front of him?
He's so good at his hair, he doesn't need a mirror. He's just doing it by touch.
So what is the point of highlighting this action? Mutt pulls out his comb and his hand is shaking. His hand
his hand is shaking.
Yeah, it's you get the Mutt scared.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
especially since we didn't get the him murdering a guy with his knife, his bloody knife.
Yeah.
You know?
So this is character development, and it's showing us that Mutt is a phony tough guy.
I wouldn't say that. I just think
it's
that he's in a dangerous position that he's never been in before.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd call him a phony tough guy. He just killed a dude.
he also is like a vulnerable character, I think. Like he's clearly kind of lost and like looking for something, you know? Not just his mom.
That's true. We should ask you, Jamie. We've been, as you know, and the audience is going to get sick of us hearing us say this over and over again.
Yes.
But Mutt often gets the Willy or the Jar Jar treatment for this movie. Mm-hmm. Like people in the shorthand, Gestalt idea of the movie, he's like sort of the scapegoat.
Yeah.
But how do you feel about him, beyond all that? Do you share that idea about him, or how are you feeling about him?
Well, again, I've only seen this movie twice. And one of those times I was really drunk with my entire archaeology department, so I don't remember it. But rewatching it this time, I did not have any problems with him. I thought he was fine. Mm-hmm. Like, I actually think he plays it pretty well because he does come off as vulnerable and is like kind of a scared kid, which makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, we've got a Mutt watch going. Like we had a Marcus watch for Last Crusade,
right?
And so far, I mean, at least for me, I don't want to speak for my co-host, but he's still in the green.
Yeah,
I've been enjoying Mutt straight through.
Absolutely the green for me.
Yeah, I think so.
I feel like he's a lot safer than Marcus was.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Marcus.
It's partly sunny to sunny.
Yeah.
Our Mutt watch.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, speaking of partly sunny to sunny. This just in. This just in from Professor Christy Porter. Mutt is combing his hair. What is your tell for anxiety?
Oh,
yeah. Wow, that's a good question. I think this is maybe that's why they have that. Like this is Mutt's. This is what he does when he combs his hair when he needs to calm himself down when he's anxious. Mm-hmm. Tommy, what's yours when you're anxious? What do you do?
I almost constantly trace my fingernails with my thumb. Yeah, and I have to do it as though I have completely covered each one. Like
really?
I do the edges and then I do the middle. I'm doing it right now. And then I do this and then I go on to the next one. Yeah, it's just kind of like a fidgety kind of thing. I guess I fidget a lot if I'm anxious.
Huh. Pete?
I'm not weird, you guys. I'm normal.
I don't think that's normal.
Name something I do, Jer.
Name something.
Like anything you name that I do is because I'm anxious all the time. Everything is a tell for me.
You have a little a tick. It's charming, but you kind of throw your hand back through your hair. Every once in a while.
That's a good one.
It comes across as not anxious though. It comes across as rather debonair.
Oh.
Playful, boyish.
Yes.
Yeah. Dashing.
Mm-hmm. It does.
See, now that I'm losing my hair, I'm going to be anxious about that.
Oh God!
So
Jerry,
like my anxiety is going to feed more anxiety.
Oh no!
But thank you, Jerry. That was nice.
How are you a basket case, Jamie?
I'm generally not an anxious person, but during the most stressful day of my life, which was my PhD defense, I literally fell out of a chair in the middle of the defense.
Wow.
Like I sort of, at Oxford, you have to wear these like robes while you're doing it. And mine got caught under the chair and I kind of scooted it and just totally just toppled over, which was not funny to me or the examiner.
No.
So,
oh my God.
Like I tried to like play it off like, ha ha. And they were just like, no, this wasn't funny. What's wrong with you? So.
Oh man.
Oh, that's
and that is why you failed.
Yeah, seriously.
How about you, Gerald?
Well, anybody who knows me well will point this out and knows this. When I get anxious, I pinch the end of my.
Gross.
I do. I do. I don't know why. It's a bad habit, and it's a problem if I'm anxious in public.
All right.
No, it's true. I don't know.
Did you
why.
have your sister send in that question so that you could say that?
No, I didn't. I had
Okay.
to think. That's actually just an honest answer. I mean, I can
Okay.
pick something. Yeah, something else I do. A lot of people think I'm tapping or like when I get anxious, I play the drums or play a beat on the table or on the steering wheel or something like that. But that's actually not it. Like sometimes
Yeah,
I'm
he
just
just does
sort of
that
playing the
100%
drums.
Your
of the
natural
time.
state.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
just sort of playing the drums in my head, and people are like, "Are you anxious?" And I'm like, "Well, no, I'm just playing the drums on the steering wheel." But
You're just doing your career.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's tough though because when you do have like tics or that sort of thing, you know what I mean? You they kind of come up on you, they ambush you. Because I'm a little bit like you, Pete. I can get anxious throughout the day, and you're not even entirely aware of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Well, I'm furiously running my hands through my hair. Thank you very much for joining us. This was awesome as always. Do you have any closing thoughts or anything you'd like to share with people? What you're working on, or something you're happy about, or anything at all?
Gosh, I am reading a really great archaeology book right now, which is it's about ancient Hawaii, and it's called "A Shark Going Inland Is My Chief," which is part of an old Hawaiian song. It's by Patrick Kirch, who's like basically been in Hawaiian archaeology for, I don't know, 4 decades or something, and it's kind of his synthesis of the archaeology of Hawaii, which is a thing I didn't know anything about, so I'm learning a lot. So I highly recommend A Shark Going Inland Is My Chief.
Awesome.
Yeah.
It is not on Audible, which makes me very sad.
Yeah.
Aw. You're going to have to read like a human.
I know.
Pete, I'll send it to you when I'm done.
Thank you. Or you can read it to me if you really wanted to be helpful.
I'll just record myself reading it, and then you can speed it up to like 5 times speed. It'll be like,
really
okay, this is about the archaeology of Hawaii.
Well, that would actually be awesome. Yeah, thank you very much. And it's always a great joy to have you on. And hopefully we don't let you down too much with some of the archaeology in this movie.
The movie has already let me down more than you ever
That's
could.
true.
Yeah, it's not our fault.
Yeah, exactly.
We didn't do anything.
Thank you guys so much for having me.
Oh,
it's always a
absolutely.
pleasure.
Yeah. And what is our fault is this somewhat mediocre podcast. But if you would like to come back for more of this somewhat mediocre podcast, you can join us on Friday.
Self-deprecating.
We blame Pete.
You guys are
Friday.
great.
Oh, no, we're not. Stop.
You're going to
no,
edit
we're
that
not.
out, aren't you?
No one can know that we're actually talented. And good.
And listener, you who know that we are not all that talented, but you love us anyway, please come back here Friday for minute 48 of Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull here on the Indiana Jones Minute.
Part-time.
Combs?
If aliens came to Earth, why would they just teach us how to build pyramids? Doesn't make sense.
Yeah, where's our rocket ships?
Like, cure cancer. What's going on?
Yeah.
Come up with a better game than the one where you chop the guy's head off and throw it in
I'm
the
going to
basket.
teach you how to put 3 stones on top of each other.
You could see how they learned how to build pyramids. It's not hard.
Wait, Tommy Combs was really good.
Oh, thank you, Jerry.
It was good.
We don't plan these things ahead of time.